the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Please be seated. When I was a newly ordained priest 17 years ago, give or take, my first parish was as an assistant at St. Mary the Virgin in Times Square. A number of you know that. Being a priest in Times Square was always interesting, but St. Mary's in particular was interesting because the clergy that were there all lived on site, and there were 5 buildings in the buildings complex of St. Mary's. It's a city block long from 46th Street between 6th and 7th Avenues all the way to 47th Street. And we lived on the 5th floor of what was called the parish house. And one of the duties of the clergy there that lived there was to sort of be the night watchman. And because the building was so big, from time to time, a door might be left open and somebody might wander in because people were up all night in Times Square, and the burglar alarm would go off. Or birds would get into the church. That happened more regularly than you'd think, and they would set the alarm off. And invariably, I think it was because I was the youngest of the priests, somehow, even though I lived farthest away, I always was the one that got to go down and deal with the alarm going off. And initially, I used to take a baseball bat with me because I figured, well, you never know. And at some point, I'm not sure if I wised up or what, but I thought maybe that's not a good idea. If somebody's actually in the church up to no good, I'm only going to escalate a situation. So I changed from wearing a baseball bat to wearing gym shorts and a t-shirt and just went down, and what have you would happen. Most of the time it was nothing. You'd go down, turn the alarm off, and that was that. But I remember the day and the time. I don't remember exactly which year it was. It was somewhere between 2004 and 2008. But on January 2nd, now keep in mind where I lived, right, in Times Square. On January 2nd, at about 1 in the morning, so we're about 24 hours after everybody should have gone home, the alarm went off, and I wandered downstairs, and to my surprise and dismay, there was somebody standing in the middle of the church, and I thought, oh, it's finally happened, I'm done. And so in my strongest peep, I said, why are you here? That sort of thing. And I was terrified. I thought, this could be the end. And he said, can you let me out? I fell asleep. I came in here after all the festivities on New Year's Eve because the church was open on January 1st, and I fell asleep, and I've only just now woken up. Can you please let me out? All the doors are locked. So I let him out. That's a story of an assumption, right? I had an assumption that something was going to go wrong. I'll give you another one. I was around the same time, I was in the South Bronx visiting a different church, and there was a man that I was walking down the street, and this man, who was clearly a homeless man, shouted at me and said, hey, Father, get over here right now. And so I thought, okay, I don't know, I have no money, I don't know what he wants, and I was a little concerned, and he said, give me a blessing. So I gave him a blessing. You never know what someone's going to want. That's another assumption. Here's another assumption story, but from a different perspective. So at my last church, prior to coming here, I was up in northern Westchester in Granite Springs, which is right next to Yorktown in Somers, if you know the area. And I'll change some of the names here because but there was a parishioner who came to me one day that was very upset at me and said, Wendy's not the real name, Wendy is very unhappy with you. I said, why? Well, she's been in the hospital for 2 weeks. And I said, this is the first I'm hearing about it. How long have you known that she was in the hospital? Well, I've known for 2 weeks. And I said, well, did Wendy tell you not to tell anybody? Or how did that work? And she said, no, I just assumed that you knew. And I had not known. So Wendy did not get a visit for 2 weeks in the hospital because nobody was told. So those are 3 different stories. And I think they match up with some of the stuff that's going on in today's gospel. Now, for a little reference point, and I'm not going to preach on this today, come back next week and maybe you'll get something on stewardship. But our stewardship materials are coming out in the next week or so, and I was reminded, because it's in the materials that you'll see soon enough, that something like 40% of Jesus' parables deal with money. Now, that's just the parables, but that's still a lot. How much of the gospel and Jesus' ministry do you think deals with sickness? Not just healing and miracles, but sickness in general. People that are possessed by demons, or epileptic, or blind, or deaf, or can't speak. Or I'd be surprised if it was not around 40% of the whole ministry of Jesus dealing with sickness. And our passage today is one of these stories. A man is blind, and he cries out to Jesus, and we don't know for sure, but it certainly does look like the disciples make an assumption that he's up to no good, or his time is not worth Jesus' time, because they tell him to be quiet. He cries out, "Jesus, Son of David, have mercy on me." Many sternly ordered him to be quiet, but he cried out all the more. So, first point, this is a classic 3-point sermon. First point is, it's never a good idea to make assumptions. It really isn't. Often, this happens to me all the time. People will call up the parish office, leave a message somewhere with our administrator or on my voicemail, or sometimes on my voicemail. And I was with a friend of mine who's also a clergy member just 2 days ago, and the same thing happened to him while we were out. He got a phone call that said, "This is an emergency," from somebody he didn't know. Do you know what we do? And part of it is because you learn, as I did, not to make any assumptions whatsoever. You always call the person back. How can I help you? What can I do? What do you need? Honestly, nowadays it's a scam half the time. And you can see through that, but you always call the person back. Always. I will always invite somebody to come and meet with me in my office. I will always see what I can do. And that's sort of a learning thing. It is always, always dangerous to make assumptions about people. You can escalate a situation that wasn't there into something really bad. Or you can turn something where someone needed something and you could help into a situation where not only will you not help, but you chose not to because you assumed something going into it. So don't do that. That's number one. Number two, the other side of this story, and I think it's really important to remember, Bartimaeus, the man who's born blind, who is healed, knows what he wants and is willing to clearly ask for it. It is really important for all of us, especially when we're dealing with sickness, to speak up, to reach out, to be clear about what we need. How many times have you run into somebody who says, "Well, I need this," and they are kind of, their family or friends convince them otherwise? "Well, no, I'm not really sure you should see a doctor. Maybe you don't. Just let it be for a little bit." Well, I don't feel, if you are sick especially, but in all aspects of your life, open up your mouth. Speak up and be clear about what you want. What does Bartimaeus say? "Teacher, let me see again." He knows in Jesus, he has seen what Jesus has been doing. He has some background information, and he has faith that Jesus can do for him what he wants. It's a really important lesson, I think, for all of us to speak up, to ask clearly what we need, and if somebody tells us to be quiet, to keep asking, to be persistent about it. So that's the second point. The third, and this is kind of interesting, I think, I think we think of Jesus when we look at these gospel passages as, well, he is, right? He's the Son of God. He's the Son of Man. He's the Messiah. He's the Christ. He's on a level that none of us are on. And so I think when we look at these miracle stories and the healing stories, we think, well, this is something that I can't really partake in because it's too disconnected from my experience. And I would ask you, I'm not sure it is. And I don't want to go down towards thinking about miracles specifically, but there's a lot of things in life where somebody has the background and the experience where you look out and you can see that this person has what I need and can do what I want. Bartimaeus has seen Jesus heal people again and again and again and again. His faith in Christ is built up by seeing what Jesus has been doing. Jesus himself says in the gospel, he says, don't believe the words that I'm saying, but believe the deeds that I've been doing and the signs that I've been performing. People have seen this stuff, and it's with that people are able to ask in confidence for help from Jesus. I would argue there's a lot of things in our life where we do that. We go to professionals for certain things. You don't just go randomly to somebody and say, you have lawyer written on your door. I think I'll trust you with my everything. You do some research, right? In all things, every aspect of your life. If you have a money manager, you don't just randomly say, I trust you. I've just met you 2 seconds ago on the street. You trust people that have the background. On Monday, we celebrated the feast of St. Luke. You know St. Luke, right? He wrote the gospel according to St. Luke. He's St. Luke, the evangelist and the physician. And he's known as both. And I think another, and the third point in this, is it's worth remembering when we think about sickness, yes, never assume that somebody knows how you feel. 2, always be clear about articulating how you are and what you need. But 3, seek out the right person. There's a fantastic reading from St. Luke's Day that we only hear on St. Luke's Day, and I'm sorry it was on a Monday, but I'm going to read it to you anyway so you hear it again, unless you were here on Monday. This is from Sirach. This is in the Bible. Honor physicians for their services, for the Lord created them. For their gift of healing comes from the Most High, and they are rewarded by the King. The skill of physicians makes them distinguished, and in the presence of the great they are admired. The Lord created medicines out of the earth, and the sensible will not despise them. That is a great line. And he gave skill to human beings, that he might be glorified in his marvelous works. By them the physician heals and takes away pain. The pharmacist makes a mixture from them. God's works will never be finished, and from him health spreads over all the earth. My child, when you are ill, do not delay, but pray to the Lord, and he will heal you. Give up your faults and direct your hands rightly, and cleanse your heart from all sin. Then give the physician his place, for the Lord created him. Do not let him leave you, for you need him. There may come a time when recovery lies in the hands of physicians, for they too pray to the Lord, that he grant them success in diagnosis and in healing for the sake of preserving life. This is a great reading. Now, medical stuff and health and sickness obviously has been what we have all been living for the last however long, 2 years close to at this point. And I'll give you a couple more little snippets. So as some of you know, I had back surgery, 12 years ago at this point, or 10 years ago. My doctor up in Yorktown led me through that whole horrible experience, got me connected to one of the best brain and spine surgeons. Terrifying dealing with this sort of thing. And I came out whole and able to move, and I am so grateful for my physician and my surgeon. But I liked my doctor so much that when I moved down here to Pelham, well, I kept my doctor. I still go up to Yorktown because I trust in him and I have faith in his diagnoses. And, around March something, I thought, well, I am now eligible for the vaccine. What does my doctor say? Because that's what I think a sensible person ought to do. So I called up my doctor's office and said, is there any reason not to do this at all? And he said, no, get the vaccine. And so I did, and I got my second dose, and my booster is this Tuesday. My children also have had that. Same thing. We trust our pediatrician, and we ask the pediatrician, what do you think? And so they've been vaccinated as well. Now, why do I tell you this? Well, trust the physician who has been trained and skilled. Or, how often in life nowadays do you trust the internet? Or your cousin's, uncle's, lawyer's former roommate? Well, I've heard from my cousin's, uncle's, lawyer's former roommate that there were some issues here. And how often have you had something and you have like a cold and you look online, you're like, oh my goodness, I have this thing that stopped in 1822, but I seem to have most of the symptoms, and there's an internet group and all these other people also have it. And go to the physician. If you have any questions about medicine, go to your doctor. And I will add this, if you don't have a doctor, you should have a doctor. It's an important thing. So those are the 3 points. A tad heavy-handed. Don't make assumptions, number 1, in anything. Speak up for the things that you need and articulate that clearly. And respect the people that have the training and the background that you can look to, in particular physicians. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.